Hello, everyone. We should be live now, as every week, with our weekly market recap. I welcome you on the show. We're gonna give everybody a minute or so to join in, grab some popcorn, make themselves comfortable. If you can, guys, let me know in the chat if everything is working correctly. I'd appreciate that. If you're seeing us, hearing us, we don't want any technical issues. So that would be nice. In the meantime, let me introduce you to my co-hosts today. On my left-hand side, we have Bruno Perinelli, our experienced mentor and financial analyst from Argentina. How are you doing, Bruno?
I'm doing great. How about you? Great to see you here on the weekly recap, as always.
I'm doing well, actually, pretty excited for the weekend. Next week, we have the Traders Fair in Philippines, where you can meet me and Jake, so actually looking forward to that a lot. And as I've already sort of mentioned, to my right-hand side, we have Jake Torres, our mentor and analyst from the Philippines. Hi, Jake, how are you doing?
Just doing great. Hi, everyone.
I'm glad to hear that. So let's slowly get started. Bruno, could you recap for us what were the most important events that have happened in the European and American markets over the previous week?
Sure. Let's begin with what happened last Friday. We got a robust labor report in the United States that had an impact on the week's dollar performance. A strong job creation, lower unemployment rate, wage growth, and also a higher participation rate was what the labor reports published. And linked to this was the mild rebound in the dollar index that went to around 101, 102 points. Now it's moving sideways. And besides that, we got the CPI and the PPI in the United States a little bit below expectations, but higher to March's prints. In Europe, we got the Bank of England raising its interest rate by 25 basis points, but the governor, Andrew Bailey, highlighted that the Bank of England is forecasting a sharp fall in inflation for the upcoming months. And then the British GDP revealed a modest growth, and Germany's CPI came in as expected. So those were the main events of this week.
Thank you very much. Jake, what can we be expecting or not expecting yet, and we're going to get to that soon. What have we seen in the Asian markets over the previous week?
Well, as far as the economic data is concerned, I think the only interesting thing in the Asian session is today's New Zealand inflation expectation, which is the actual trend is below the market expectation. And that's why one of the drivers for New Zealand weakness for today, if we have a currency strength meter, it is now leading to the downside. And aside from that, the what I focused on when there is a lack of a scheduled economic event in the economic calendar, I I tend to focus more on the sentiment from the market. Now, if I don't see any reason for for the session, so I look at the sentiment. Now, how I look at the sentiment, that is why I use the tool, the the currency strength meter, because at least looking at it, what is the strongest currency, what is the weakest currency, I have an idea of what is currently is happening in the market.
So, if I may ask, one of the interesting things that I've been looking at is the pair that you often mention, which is the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. And I'm going to bring it up on the screen, and we see that there has been a huge rally in the past 24 hours. What would be the reason behind this, Jake?
Let me check this one. Just give me a minute. Okay. For today's reason why it is rallying is it is mainly driven by the New Zealand dollar weakness after if you can see the price action, that is the beginning of AUDNZD strength is after the release of today's inflation expectation from New Zealand, which is negative from the forecast. And in the medium term, actually, as of the moment, it is too early to establish a bias if this price action will continue to rally in the next couple of weeks. So as of now, I am staying on the sideline for this pair, looking for the next data to be released before really establishing a bias for this one, either to go higher or to continue to go lower.
So looking at the New Zealand dollar overall, can we expect it to be basically weaker against currencies across the board?
On the daily day trade perspective, so expect it to continue to be weaker for today's session, the end of the New York session for today.
Okay,
because
thank you.
there will be no incoming data that will probably strengthen this currency at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Bruno, looking into next week already, what can traders be expecting? What should they be looking out for? Do we have any very important news releases where traders maybe should stay out of the market, or they should be careful to not let the market surprise them?
I wouldn't say there's a big important event that will take the traders out of the market. But there are a couple of big events, such as the retail sales that will be released, I think, next week on Tuesday or Wednesday. That will gauge the consumer spending. That will have an idea of how the first economy, the U.S. economy, is performing. And then in Canada, we got the CPI that's going to be released on Tuesday. So let's see if inflation is still going down in that country and how that would affect the Canadian dollar. Also in the euro area, got the actual inflation number after the preview that was released on May the 2nd. And I think those are the main events. Not, as I told you, big events such as this week's or the previous one, when we have some interest rate hikes in the United States, also in the UK, but some important events.
Thank you very much, Bruno. Jake, what can we be looking forward to in the Asian sessions? Do we have any important events?
We have the employment change and employment rate this coming 18th of May. That will be on Thursday. So we'll be watching that, and how the if you want to trade this kind of during the news event, what we are always looking for is a surprise numbers. So we will look for a minimum and maximum expectation, which if I get this data, I share it on the Discord channel. So that is the one of the strategy trading with the news, having this baseline expectation based on the minimum and the maximum expectation. So we will be watching that. The other, I think that is the only one interesting for next week Asian session. So apart from that, again, we have still the issue of the banking issue is still around the corner, and from time to time, any latest news from the banking sector drives the market. Either a risk it causes risk off tone in the market or risk on tone in the market. So that is worth to be aware of, that the banking issue is still in the corner.
So overall, we could conclude that the next week it's going to be a pretty peaceful one when it comes to news events and overall market.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Okay. So traders, you can be looking up for a relatively peaceful week ahead. There are no major updates that we are expecting, no major releases. And But there is something you can be looking forward to in the next week. If you happen to be in Philippines, make sure to come visit us in Manila. We're gonna be at the Traders Fair there next Saturday. Me and Jake. If you want to meet us in person, be sure to actually stop by. And I think I have last question, guys, for you. We do have a peaceful week coming ahead, but where do you see the biggest opportunities for traders to make some profits?
I will focus my my eye on the Great British Pound. I think it will be interesting to see what traders do, if they believe what the Bank of England is foreseeing or not, because you know the inflation in the United Kingdom is still sticky, and now Bailey is forecasting a big shock. I don't know if traders do believe what Bailey and Bank of England is seeing or not. So I think it will be important to see what the pound does.
How about you, Jake?
For me, currently I'm watching now the euro dollar currency pair. Um, we know that from the positioning point of view, the institutional traders are still long for the euro net long position, and uh, based on that, I think the the appetite for these institutional traders who are long euro are is starting to lessen. I think a negative news for the euro is more impactful to weaken the euro rather than a positive news, because a lot of positive, I think, at least that's my point of view, is already in the price for the euro. So I'm just waiting for a negative news for the euro to make that reason to be selling the euro USD parent. It is currently sitting now at the very important support, 1.0910 psychological level.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you for sharing where you see the biggest opportunities, what has happened last week, and what we can be expecting in the next one. Wish all of our viewers a wonderful weekend. To those of you who are watching it on Monday morning, have a successful week trading, and we'll see you next Friday at 11 a.m. UK time. Until then, have a great one.